healing, salvation, and happiness. It's your season. It's your time. God has plans for your life to prosper you and to give you hope and a future. Join us and learn how God's love and power can bring hope and happiness to your life. This is your opportunity for motivation, encouragement, and purpose.
Welcome, everyone. It's Kathy with the Daily Gospel Network, where we bring you education, motivation, and information that's sure to improve and enhance your life. And this episode is sure to do just that. Let's take a listen to today's great segment.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the New Approach Show. I'm your host, Janine Mitchell. Please welcome today's guest, Ms. Nicole Odom Hardnett. Nicole's list of accomplishments includes the following: Amazon bestseller, author, Moms Who Boss Up Post-Pandemic, author of Dating with Purpose, Currently You're Married Now, and Blended to Perfection. Nicole has been guest appearances on Fox, NBC, and CBS. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you for accepting my invitation to come on the show.
Thank you so much for the invite. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. And I know you're in Houston. I know the weather is nice, huh? What's the weather like in Houston?
This weather has actually been kind of crazy. It started out, I think this morning, it probably started out at 50-something degrees.
Oh.
Yeah, and then it's going to end up at like 85. Like yesterday, it started out at, I think, 40-something in the mid to high 40s, and it ended up at like 85. So okay. It's crazy. So you have on, like today, I have on a dress, but a sweater. Right. And then once I'm done, I'll take off the sweater, and then I'll be in some slides.
Right. And well, you know what? I think you said you've never been to Ohio, right?
No.
Okay, no. So we have that weather all year round. Like one day it could be snowing, and then one day it could be sunny outside. So yeah, I understand what you're going through today, at least for today.
Like I don't know how to prepare. I don't know if I want to put on a sweatsuit and t-shirts. I don't know if I want to put, I've never been the shorts and sweatshirt girl, but here you can kind of do that. Right. It's just so weird.
And don't look crazy.
Right.
Well, Nicole, you have more than one book. You're like author of so many different books, but I just wanted to kind of touch on the Dating with Purpose.
Okay.
So, what inspired you to write the book Dating with Purpose?
I was in the salon, nail shops, and just listening to people, women mostly. Actually it was some men. It was some of my husband's friends, and some of them were going through divorce, rocky relationships, and getting back into the dating scene for those people. And I was just listening to the issues that they were going through and reflecting on the issues that I had while dating. And of course, they were all the same. Everyone seems to go through some of the same things, just in different formations. And I was like, this would be a good idea. I had already written my first book, and I'm like, why not? Let's do it. And so it was the book is like a how-to guide. It's like a 33, 34 page, just giving some simple tips on dating. And getting back out there, and things that I did that helped me find. So far, he is the man of my dreams.
Oh, wow. Wow. Well, that's going to inspire a lot of us, that you can find the man of your dreams. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. We started out as friends, and I think that's really how you should start a relationship. I went into it with absolutely no intentions whatsoever. And we just end up, we're still friends. We still like each other.
Yes.
And we've been together for 12, going on 13 years now. Married for almost 9 years now. So, hey, I think what I did was right. So why not get some tips on it?
Right. Right. And so you've been married for 8 years. I think I've seen that on the podcast.
Yeah, it's
For
8
8
years. It'll be nine years. Well, next year be 9.
Mhm. Well, congratulations on the anniversary coming up.
Thank you.
And just to be able to make it through 8 years, that's a
Yeah.
blessing in itself. But when you were dating, were you discovering you made some mistakes while dating? And
Mhm.
what were some of those mistakes?
Some of those mistakes were just thinking that person was the one.
Mm.
Just not really listening, fully listening. And because some people just, they see things but just ignore them.
Mhm.
They hear things and completely ignore them.
Mhm.
And then when a situation arises, well, it was there all along.
Mhm.
But you chose to ignore it. You chose to ignore it either because you wanted to, because you were lonely, because you were possibly desperate,
Mhm.
because you like how things were going. You didn't want to be in the house all the time. You liked it because you guys were going places, you were
Yes,
doing
yes.
things, because you had companionship. And a lot of people do it. So don't think, if I'm hitting a nerve, that you're the only one. I've been there.
Mhm.
I've done that. I've ignored things. I'm like, whatever. Let me just keep going. We'll just see if it gets better.
Mhm.
And a lot of us think we can change people. What's hard to change a grown up?
Right.
Right. They're grown. They're setting in their ways. That's like you're grown and you're setting your ways. It's
That's
things
right.
that you like to do. You feel like maybe you have to do them
Mhm.
because it makes you who you are.
Mhm.
So that's why people ignore them. But when you date with a purpose, if you've been in so many relationships, like so many of us have, you should know your deal breakers.
Mhm.
And if you know you're not a smoker, why would you date someone that smokes if you know you can't stand the smell of smoke?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
So those are the type of things.
Mhm. So how can single women date with purpose, and why is it important?
Single women and or men can date with purpose by making a list, knowing your deal breakers,
Mhm.
know what you want out of your mate, know that what you will settle for and what you absolutely will not. Like I said, if you know that you're not a smoker, you can't stand the smell. Like me personally, I can't stand the smell of cigarette smoke.
Mhm.
I can tolerate cigar smoke. I just choose not to be around it as much.
Mhm.
But I wouldn't date a person that smokes cigarettes.
Mhm.
That's a deal breaker for me.
Right.
I am a woman of faith.
Mhm.
I am not going to date someone that does not believe.
There it is. Well, you know what it is too. I think, can I just mention this, that a lot of women feel like, well, it's not that many men, and it's a shortage of men. They're either gay or they're in jail, and I want a Black man, and I just don't have many choices. So that's why I kind of, at least accept someone that just wants me, at least. I mean, do you think that's that kind of desperate type mindset?
And I do, and I believe that that's why the relationships aren't working, because we as women, we're settling
Mhm.
for whatever comes, and you feel like you're not worthy, but you are worthy. You're worthy of someone that's going to love you, that's going to respect you, that is going to lift you up and treat you like the queen that you are.
Mhm.
And so with that being said, you should not settle. And I get it that you may want to date within your race, but there are people outside of your race that will do that and will treat you like the queen that you are.
it's hard. It's facts. I mean, people do have testimonies about, they decided that,
Just step outside.
they stepped outside.
Step outside of your comfort zone. And I understand, but I don't understand the rationale of women. And I hear this so many times from women that, oh, I gotta have this guy with this six-pack and this, oh so defined body. But what are you doing? Like you probably haven't even driven by the gym, but you want this being, this chiseled being, and you don't know half the time. And I'm not saying all of the men like that are like this, but you don't know what comes along with that.
Yes.
I'm like, you don't eat at all healthy. But you want this chiseled being who has several options. And I'm not saying that like I said, all of these gentlemen are like this, that have the pick of the litter and will choose all of their picks. But you have to think realistically that if you aren't coming to the table with something serious, really, what you are not may not be the ideal person unless you mentally have something serious going on to offer, because physically you may not match, so you don't have the physical component matching unless you have the mental. And I've seen it where one is chiseled and sleek and the other is not. I've seen it happen before.
Right.
They are compatible, but 9 times out of 10, if you don't have something else to offer, it's not going to happen. And I hear these women and I'm like thinking to myself, and some of them I somewhat know. I know their conversation. I've heard their conversation. And I'm like, what else do you have to offer besides the physical?
Yes.
And I'm talking the sexual.
Right.
And that's all you're offering.
That's all you're offering. You don't have any, you don't have a good conversation. You know what I mean? You don't have, intellectual conversation. There we go.
Right. There's nothing
You're
else.
all about the physicalities of everything. What are your plans? What are your goals? What are your interests?
None of that. You don't have any of that to offer. You have no drive, no substance.
Only in the gym. Only in the gym, though. In the gym. Now, let me ask you this. Now, you said you are a woman of faith. Do you believe that our standards should be a little different than how the world standard should be as it relates to dating and how we choose our mates? And then
Go a little deeper with that for me.
Well, we're supposed to choose someone that's equally yoked. And so when I think about equally yoked, I think about the spiritual component as well. And you were saying that I have to have someone that believes. So that's what's going to kind of set us apart, maybe be a little different than how the world standard of choosing a mate or dating or, how we should do things.
Right. So I agree that you definitely have to be equally yoked. Like my husband and I, we have the same beliefs. We are both not the type to go to church every single Sunday, but we are firm believers. We are faith driven. We pray constantly. So I didn't marry an atheist. We let God lead us. And I finally let a man be the head of the household.
Oh, and stay right there, because that's one of the questions too. We were talking, have a question about submissiveness, the
Okay.
S word. The S
Okay.
word that a lot of
Okay.
people don't want to talk about. They think it's just like, how dare you? It's like a bad word.
So we'll get on that definitely,
Right,
because
right,
that was
right.
a bad word for me. That
And
was like,
right, yes.
so
But
we'll
like,
definitely
why?
get on that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't believe, and neither one of us believe in preaching to people. We are both faith driven, and we let our actions speak louder than words. We believe in walking the right path. I believe in karma for sure, wholeheartedly. So we both treat people as we would like to be treated. So I found someone that I would say definitely we are equally yoked.
Okay.
So I hope that answers your
Yes.
question with that.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So submissiveness.
Hmm.
Why do you think it has such a negative stigma? Like, why is it such a, you know what I mean? It's like a harsh word to say, and particularly women have the hardest time with that word, submissiveness.
Because I think there is a misunderstanding, or people don't understand, because what I thought it was is basically you had to bow down to your husband and say, yes, sir. Yeah, like basically a yes, master, a yes, sir. And you had to do this,
I'm your
then,
servant.
and
How can I serve you today? No.
right, like I had to bring him his beer and things like that. That's what I thought. I didn't learn that until, so we've been together for 12, almost 13 years. It's been right before that, as we were dating, in that dating process, that I learned about submissiveness. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. Because it was explained to me, but I still didn't have a good understanding of it until I really got entrenched in this relationship and learned that my behavior was being submissive. I let my husband in to my whole life. We make decisions together, but I trust him to lead the decisions, most of the decisions, a good majority of the decisions.
Yes.
So the trust in the man of the house, and I title him as the man of the house.
Yes.
I fall back quite a bit, and I'm a very outspoken woman, because I have been running the household prior to him, with my 2 children. So again, I'm very strong, that this is the only person or man in my life who I've ever fully trusted with my life, with my children, with our household and decisions. And again, most of them we make together, but when we come to a crossroad, if he says something, I will listen to his explanation and take it into deep consideration. Whereas other people, I'm like, oh no, I'm not doing that.
Right. Well,
it's going to be my way.
Well, Nicole, you said something really powerful. You said the trust. So trust is a big part of submissiveness. If you can get the trust, then everything else will follow.
That's right.
And so, and what I hear, and when we had a conversation, when our meet and greet, and we were talking about, I think I mentioned something about, I had recently heard about submissive or submitting means to cover, like coming up under the vision of that, your husband. Like you come up under his vision. Well, part of that vision is that you trust that he has a vision. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So yeah, I was just like, when I heard someone else say that it's about the vision, you coming up on his vision, but that's where the trust has to be there for you to do that. So that's why it might be, sometimes difficult for people, because they're not all the way trusting that the person's going to make the right decision as relates to the covering of their home and be the headship over their home and their decisions.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, so I think that makes sense. You have to have that trust there, and I think that's what people need to understand. That's a very, very important component of submissiveness. Now, there's this alpha female and beta male. I think that's what they call it, beta male.
Okay.
Like, the roles have changed. And this is just kind of like what I see in like some of the social media and some of the bloggers and some people that have podcasts, and they feel that alpha male is just too much, you know what I mean? And so it's like this. So you just want this balance, right? Okay. So the alpha female is can we be too independent? And then like, is that kind of like not helpful for the male? You know what I mean? Or do we now have to, okay, let's just talk biblically. Biblically, we were always taught that men are to be the providers, right? And the headship of the home, like we were talking about earlier. But now roles have changed. Sometimes the woman is the breadwinner. So that puts her in a role of kind of like an alpha female. And then the male who's making less than her, I guess he's considered to be a beta male. And I don't know, is that coming away from the plan, the ordained plan of husband and wife, or it can happen. It's just that you just have to be able to be mindful that you don't take away that person in the core of who they are, by taking the stance to be an alpha female or a beta male.
A lot of things have shifted in the way we do things in this day and time. And I have seen quite a bit of relationships like this. If it works for the couple, then it works. And I've seen some relationships like this where the woman is the breadwinner and the male is still able to be, I say this, the masculine or the man of the home, even though he may make less than his wife.
Okay.
So I have seen him still, being, I don't want to say control, but because he's still not the breadwinner, but he's still the man of the house.
Okay.
Because he is strong enough and he has earned the respect. And it's all in the way that you carry yourself, and it's all in the way that relationship or that friendship is entered into.
Okay.
And it's also about the self-esteem of the individual. That plays a lot. Some men can handle their wife making more than they can, but it has to do with how you feel as a man.
There it is.
If you are a confident man, then you are a confident man, regardless. You are holding the family down, and you can make decisions no matter what, because the money is coming into your house.
Right.
And as long as the relationship is tight and the communication is tight, and it's not about the financial and the two are working together, it shouldn't be a separation. And the two, again, if that friendship is strong, because there are some months that I bring in more than my husband. There's some months that he brings in more than I do. But our relationship is solid. Our communication is solid. That financial is just what it is. That's just paper.
Right.
It doesn't affect our bond.
Because the foundation is strong.
Exactly.
That's why you're able to.
Yeah.
Sometimes things go left to where a man, he can either be insecure, and you're talking about being confident in yourself and what you offer, or he could be he can be kind of lazy because he feels like, you're the breadwinner, and the man begins to decrease as a sense of not necessarily having that masculine role, because some women will use that, like, as to their advantage, and that can make the man feel less than.
Right, and that's what hurts the relationship when people start throwing around, well, I'm the breadwinner of the house and I'm do that. When you use terms like that and throw them around loosely or joking and things like that, that causes a problem, and that can hurt someone's ego. And it's usually the male ego that ends up bruising.
So you have to have boundaries. You both have to establish boundaries of not crossing that boundary of saying things that, because words are hurtful, you know what I mean?
Exactly. But the bottom line is, as long as you know that you are a team, that you're in whatever it is, you're in it together, and you're one. That's the most important thing. You're one, and that the finances is just a means to an end. To grow, if you're trying to grow to something, if you're trying to, whatever your ultimate goal is for your family, that you're doing it together. And so it doesn't matter who makes more than whom.
I agree. So how do we break the cycle of these dysfunctional relationships and these, we know how we have generational curses of so many other things. And I think sometimes even relationships play a part, like, we may not always have like the template of a healthy relationship. So we're trying to find our way. And a lot of what we know in our experiences or what we've witnessed in our own families, mama, auntie, grandma, you know what I mean? All these dynamics of relationships that were not healthy. Sometimes I do believe that it could become a curse, but you have to make the decision to break it, regardless, you know what I mean, of what happened to someone else. And, nobody got married anymore, or every marriage was a divorce, you know what I mean? So there's generational curses, but we don't have to stay there and believe that has to be our generation. How do we break those curses and the dysfunctional relationships that we keep accepting?
I think, again, if we pay attention when we first meet someone, and the first thing is not be so quick to hop in bed with one another. Because that spoils everything. I know the physical sometimes is difficult, especially, I can't even say with the younger generations, because I've seen some older people. That's the first thing. You're right, OGs. That's the first thing that they go for. But
somewhere, calm yourself.
Right. When you are looking for a relationship, or that you are at a point where, hey, I don't want to be in this or be by myself, be serious about it and date again with purpose. If you've been through a lot of dating or relationships, make your list. Know exactly what you want, or look at your family.
Hope you enjoyed this segment. Join us next time for another great episode. If you would like to find out more about this program and its sponsors, visit them on social media. Meanwhile, stay tuned to the Daily Gospel Network for another great segment.